Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking an absolutely critical financial control, and we're going to do it by diving straight into a massive corporate failure. We're talking about the service entry sheet, also known as the invisible delivery.
So picture this. A company recently hires an IT agency to build a custom software platform. At the end of the month, the vendor sends over an invoice for 500 hours of coding. The finance team takes one look at it and boom, they instantly pay it. But here's the disaster. 6 months later, the entire project completely fails. And when they finally investigate, they realize the vendor had actually only worked 100 hours. Now, why on earth did they pay the full amount for work that literally never happened? Well, it's because you can't exactly count hours in a physical warehouse, and the company completely forgot to use one crucial tool, a service entry sheet.
Which brings us to the concept of the invisible delivery. What exactly is an SES?
In simple terms, because you obviously can't hold, weigh, or physically count an intangible service like software development, legal advice, or office cleaning, the SES acts as your official digital log. It's basically the exact service equivalent of a goods receipt note. It's how a project manager formally confirms, on the record, that this invisible work was actually completed to the agreed standard before finance ever writes the check.
To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at some everyday analogies comparing tangible deliveries to intangible labor.
This perfectly illustrates the core concept. Think about renovating your house. If you order a load of bricks, you literally stand in your driveway and count them when the truck pulls up, right? That action is your goods receipt note. But if you hire plumbers to fix your pipes, you can't just hold or count plumbing. Instead, at the end of the week, you inspect their work, make sure the sinks actually drain, and then you sign their daily timesheet. That signed timesheet, that is your service entry sheet. It's the ultimate proof that the invisible labor actually happened.
So, how does this actually work in a real company? Let's check out a workplace example with XYZ Limited, focusing on securing their corporate premises.
Take XYZ Limited. RIA hires a security agency to guard the corporate office for 30 days. Because this is a service, there's no physical boxes to scan at the front gate. At the end of the month, the vendor claims they provided 10 guards for the full 30 days. That's step 1. In step 2, RIA doesn't just blindly pay that bill. She actually checks the building's biometric attendance logs to verify the guards were really there. And here's where the magic happens in step 3. Once she verifies those logs, RIA goes into her ERP system and creates a service entry sheet. This SES acts as the golden ticket. It tells the accounts payable team in step 4, yes, the service was actually rendered, you are officially authorized to pay them.
Now let's clear up some major procurement confusion between a GRN and an SES, because mixing these up is a super common beginner mistake.
As you can see, the crucial difference really comes down to physical versus invisible. A GRN is used exclusively for physical, tangible items, things you can touch, count, and physically put on a warehouse shelf. Laptops, raw steel, that sort of thing. On the other hand, an SES is strictly for intangible work or labor. Instead of counting physical boxes, your action is to verify timesheets and progress reports for services like consulting, maintenance repairs, or training. It is absolutely vital to separate these two completely in your mind.
And you want to know why it's so vital? Let's look through the auditor's eye at something called the phantom consultant.
Auditors are constantly on the hunt for these phantom consultants. This is what happens when service entry sheets are approved in the system without any physical evidence attached. Imagine a manager creating an SES for 10 lots of marketing consulting, but failing to attach a single timesheet or a final presentation deck or even a basic progress report. This is a massive control failure. When auditors spot this, their immediate thought is that the vendor is just a shell company, maybe even owned by the manager's friend, getting paid huge amounts of company cash for doing absolutely nothing. The hard evidence must always accompany the SES.
So as we wrap up this explainer, if you only remember one rule today, make it this. A GRN counts the physical boxes, but an SES measures the invisible work.
I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative question, just to challenge how you look at your own corporate processes. The very next time an invoice for a service crosses your desk, I want you to ask yourself, are you paying for verified invisible work, or are you paying phantom consultants? Think about that for a second. Make sure your service entry sheets are backed by rock-solid proof, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.